Thank you for listening to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast, available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Stitcher. Also, please follow Matt's Movie Reviews on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit, Instagram, and MeWe. And of course, be sure to visit mattsmoviereviews.net for the latest reviews, top 10 lists, and more. Now, on to the show.
The U.S. Defense Department has spent over $1 trillion on the most cutting-edge robot technology, introducing RoboSanta Plus for the upcoming holiday season.
What are you going to do this fine Christmas Eve?
I was potentially going to go meet up with a dude. I've blown him off twice already, so.
Come on, get a drink with your old pal, Robbie.
What's up with you two?
Just grabbing a drink.
I talk her out of some Tinder trash.
You didn't talk me out of anything. To Christmas! Bah humbug.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
New animatronic state-of-the-art Santa Claus, featured at our own TW Bonkers, is now the subject of an international recall.
Santa?
What? This guy killed the kid next door!
Oh,
You hear that?
Or what?
You need to give me a gun.
What is that?
It's him.
oh, Santa Claus?
Yeah, it's fucking Santa Claus.
Have you heard from the boys down at the scene yet?
They're still down there counting bodies.
Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. I am your host, Matthew Pejkovic, and this is episode number 487. Releasing December 9 on Shudder is Christmas Bloody Christmas, a sci-fi horror that stars Riley Dandy as a fiery record store owner whose plans of spending Christmas Eve in a state of alcohol-fueled debauchery is interrupted by an axe-wielding, life-size robotic Santa gone haywire, a neon-drenched, blood-soaked Christmas treat backed by an excellent soundtrack and featuring terrific performances. Christmas Bloody Christmas is the latest film by acclaimed genre filmmaker Joe Begos. I'm glad to say joins me now on the podcast. Joe, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really interesting. I'm just reading up about the making of this film. From what I understand, you were approached to do like a remake of Silent Deadly Night, and it didn't go as planned, but you had an idea of making your own Christmas movie, and you wanted to like take your love for a movie like Terminator that you saw when you were a kid and meld kind of those two films together. Was that pretty much kind of like the starting point for what we're seeing now on Christmas Bloody Christmas?
Yeah, sort of. But the pitch or the treatment that I handed in for the Silent Night Deadly remake was exactly Christmas Bloody Christmas. Like, it was beat for beat. That was like everything that happened, like the locations, the set pieces, everything. So it was pretty well fleshed out. So when they turned it down because it wasn't, it wasn't close enough to the original and the fans would be upset, it's like, well, you're right, I guess it's not. So I'll just fucking turn it into original script. So I just expanded the treatment, and made it into a feature script, and it got financed like surprisingly fast. And I got more money as a budget than the remake of Silent Night Deadly Night had slotted for it. So
it all just worked out all your way, which is awesome, because the movie that I saw only a couple of days ago is just so incredibly fantastic. One of my favorite horror movies of the year. I think what makes it so great as well is the performance by Riley Dandy. She's really interesting in that she's kind of like a Christmas movie, kind of like, connoisseur in a sort of way. She's really is a leading lady of all these Christmas movies. In fact, I think she's got like 3 out this year. None of
Yeah,
them.
so one's coming out in HBO Max in like 2 hours. It's like it's a Warner Brothers movie, but it's like a comedy. So, well, about to turn that on its head.
And the other one's like a Netflix film. Very different than what we've seen in Christmas Bloody Christmas, where it seems to me that her character of Tori, it's kind of like has influences from like the likes of Sarah Connor and Ripley from the Alien series, but with a harder edge. Is that pretty much the inspiration that you had in the creation of this character in your movie, those two characters specifically?
Not specifically. I mean, there are shades of them, I guess. I mean, honestly, I just wrote a character that was like me. But if it was a gal who ran a record store, a lot of those opinions are mine. And, some of that spreads into Sam too. Like he has some of my opinions that are, work for the sake of dynamic of their, relationship, I put onto him. But like, I kind of just wrote myself as like a cool chick who would run a record store. And then, the things that she has to do to kind of survive, it's not necessarily like realistic things that like, I feel like I would do, but it's kind of like movie common sense, I guess, so to speak. So I think
movie logic.
Yeah. So I guess kind of in a way, like, Ripley in Alien 1 or Sarah Connor in Terminator 1 more so than they are in the sequels. But yeah, they're kind of just thrust into these situations and forced to survive, but they have like a cooler starting point, horror fan. They're basically a horror fan. She's a horror fan who gets thrown into the situation.
Speaking of those opinions you said before about the characters that they had, I'm a big heavy metal fan, as I know you are as well. And I just want to get some clarification in regards to some of the debates in the film.
Yeah.
If I like Van Halen post David Lee Roth, and I also think that Super Unknown is the best Soundgarden album, would I be correct or not correct?
Those are two opinions that I do not share with the lead character. I like Van Hagar.
I like Van Hagar, yeah.
I don't think it's better. I think it's a lateral move.
Yep.
So I like all that stuff. And I think that Super Unknown is a really great Soundgarden album. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's awesome. And I also really like Down on the Upside.
Me too.
I just had to use that as like for sake of her argument, because I do think Load sucks and like, but like just for sake of her argument, it's like I know that Chris Cornell cut his hair off, and people give him a lot of shit for that, but I don't think that the music I don't think that he cut it in a way to like change his image or anything like that, because I feel like it's Soundgarden, and Super Unknown is fucking awesome. So yeah, those I don't agree with her on those ones. I think Super Unknown rules, and yeah.
Down on the Upside's got my favorite Soundgarden song in Tighter and Tighter. It's one of my favorite songs of theirs. So I'm a big fan of that album.
I agree. That song fucking rules.
It does. The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by TeePublic. TeePublic is the world's largest marketplace for independent creators to sell their work on the highest quality merchandise. With over 1.2 million designs, TeePublic is sure to have something you love. The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by Amazon. The world's leading online store, Amazon is your first stop to buy a wide range of products at competitive prices with fast delivery times. Amazon is also a world-class entertainment hub that includes Prime Video, Audible, Twitch, Amazon Music, and more. Sign up with Amazon today and experience the best in online shopping and entertainment. Please support Matt's Movie Reviews on Patreon. Get access to exclusive content, request movie reviews and top 10 lists, and help support my work. Please click on the Patreon link in the description below. I want to talk about the use of practical effects and just kind of like a really kind of old school approach you have to your filmmaking, especially in regards to Christmas Bloody Christmas. You shot on film, 16 millimeters, and also you have an animatronic robot in the movie. I mean, how cool is that to be able to work on something like that? What's the experience like working with animatronics? Because I'm not sure if that's something you've ever done before with the movies that you've done previously.
No, it's the first time I've done it. It's something I've always wanted to do. So like, it never really worked out. Like I wanted to do kind of little animatronic pieces for other movies, like just like, people's heads and stuff like that, but it never really worked out. But for this, we had to. And, my makeup effects team who I've used in my last 4 movies, also love animatronic stuff. So like, it was kind of a field day for us, and we had the budget to supplement to actually build a robot. So, I mean, it was fucking awesome. And it was like a learning experience for all of us who were technically R&Ding our animatronic. This was like an animatronic school for us because, I want to do a sequel. They their dream movie, my dream movie is a werewolf movie, which will be animatronic. So like this is kind of a breeding ground for that if that movie ever gets financed. But it was awesome, and it was funny because the last scene where it's a full animatronic robot, it's like 8 pages or something, and we had 11 days to shoot that, and we still couldn't get everything because the robot kept fucking like breaking, and it would need to be, not only would the place need to be like cleared out because we were shooting in a historical building that I was flooding. So like we would need to clean up all the water in between every take just so the place didn't get ruined, and the robot would always go down. And it was getting frustrating because we'd be down for 3 or 4 hours waiting for the robot to be fixed. And it was like, and my makeup effects people are like, well, Joe, you got to cut us some slack. You not only want to take this giant $250,000 piece of electronic equipment that we built and soak it with gallons of water, but you simultaneously want to rig explosions to it, and you expect it to hold up. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's gonna look fucking awesome. So, we ended up getting, we did some pickups in LA to try and help fix some stuff out there. But it was awesome to work with. And like when that thing came to life on set, I think it was making everybody super excited that it was, actually on set working. And, that's another thing with practical effects, is it's like if that was going to be a CG, it would be like a green tennis ball thing moving around. But like that fucking robot comes stomping on set and everybody's like, oh shit, what the fuck? Same thing with film. Suddenly you're loading in a mag and that motherfucker's whirring and buzzing and burning. Everybody's like, oh shit, better fucking be on the top of my game. So, yeah, I just love the aesthetic of doing all that stuff. Film's one of the only industries, movie making is one of the only industries in the world where everything's went backwards, which is fucking, I don't understand it. Like, whether you like digital or not, it's a scientific fact that it's inferior to film. Whether you agree or disagree, it's a fact that CG is inferior to David Fincher can't get CG blood right. How the fuck am I going to get CG blood right? So like having it tangible and being able to direct it and not have somebody else direct it somewhere else that I have no control over, like that's how movies should be made. And I wish that we had the ability, like I wish that animatronics didn't go by the wayside and the best technicians in this industry had the past 20 years to like push that envelope and build that shit, but they don't. So like there hasn't been advancements in that stuff. Whereas you go look at like theme parks and they are advancing animatronics. Look at the Avatar ride in like Japan, or I think it might be Tokyo or it's Shanghai, but like they have a fucking full-grown Navi like walking around that looks better than Avatar, because those people have been pushing the envelope of animatronics, but movie making hasn't. So like I just try to go back to that and try to push that stuff in a direction in a way that I wish that other people did, so we could still have that stuff. Like 3D printing, we built a lot of the robot with 3D printing that didn't exist when animatronics were a thing. So like what kind of new technologies would actually make animatronics better, easier, more agile, stuff like that. And it's unfortunate that there aren't a lot of people trying to figure this stuff out. So we're sitting there trying to figure out how to do that shit, but that's exciting to me. And it makes it feel more real and organic and cooler than just shooting on digital in a white roomed house with fucking a CG robot coming in. Like, no thanks.
And it looks great on screen as well. Another thing that looks great on screen is the blood that you use in the movie. I'm really curious about working with blood in horror movies. Is there such a thing as an evolution of blood in horror films? Is the blood that you use in your previous films different to the blood that you use now? Is it pretty much the same materials, the same concepts behind it? Or is there, more budget, better blood? Is there such a thing like that?
No, it's all the same. The only thing that changes, it really depends on the look of the movie, because sometimes you need to go darker, lighter. And my movies are so dark. Sometimes, if I have red lighting and the blood isn't dark enough, it doesn't stick out. So it's kind of just mixing like that. But it's always the same basic ingredients. And then there's a few different supplemental some of it has soap in it, so people need to if it's going to be on something that's easier to wash out, there's blood that you can swallow, stuff like that. So, but it's always been the same. I think it's probably been the same for at least the past few decades. Same basic recipe: caro syrup and food coloring.
I also want to talk about the film soundtrack, and Steve Moore, again, doing soundtrack for your film. You've worked with him for quite a while now. He's just the way he approaches music in films is just really amazing. And I really do hope there's a soundtrack coming out for Christmas, Bloody Christmas, because I'd buy it in a heartbeat. What's it like working with Steve? What's the approach you usually have with him when it comes to your films and the philosophies behind how you want your films to sound in a soundtrack standpoint?
Well, with Steve, we're just on the same wavelength, and we have the same interests, and we like the same aesthetics. So we're a good pair already. We like the same things and the same ideas about stuff. And because this is my fourth movie, It's so much more. He knows what I like. He knows what I'm going for. He knows kind of how I want things to sound. So it's just so much easier to work with him. And the thing with when we were cutting the movie, all my movies, we do a temp score, just to give like it's just easier to kind of shape scenes or like ups and hills and valleys and find the breadth of the scene if you're temp scoring stuff. And also, I like to use that as a blueprint. That's kind of my overall direction to him as a composer. It's like here's a blueprint of kind of how I want the movie to sound, and we use a lot of either stuff that he's done solo or from other albums, or stuff that's in a lot of Cliff Martinez and stuff that kind of sounds like him. Just give him, and it's not like, oh, do exactly this. It's kind of like, here's the mood board of what you want, and then he'll come in and give us fucking an awesome first take, and then we'll kind of go in there and minutely work. But like it's getting easier. Not easier is the wrong word. I think that we're getting to the place we need to get to faster because we understand each other, and the place that we ultimately get to is getting better and better. I think each one of his scores gets better, and we do them faster, and each one is more ingrained in the film than the last, I guess.
Since you're a big heavy metal fan and I am as well, I need to ask just a few questions in the style of debate that is shown in your film, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. Real kind of quick questions. Number one, the Pantera upcoming tour, reunion, legacy, whichever way it is, do you think it should happen, or do you think they should just let the past be the past?
I think that having Zakk Wylde on guitar is a big step because it was Dimebag's best friend. So I think that goes a long way, and the Paul brothers estates getting a cut of whatever happens and being happy with it, which they announced that they were. It's not Pantera, but I'm gonna go see it. And it's funny, when they said that they were gonna do a reunion, I was like, the only way I'd go see that is if it was somebody that Dimebag respected, like Zakk Wylde, and that's not gonna fucking happen. And then they announced this, and I'm like, well, all right, I guess I gotta go. But yeah, I'm cool with it.
Next one, Ghost, future of heavy metal or just a spooky ABBA?
Neither. I don't like them at all. I don't understand how they're so big.
And finally, if there was one band who could have done a thrashing heavy metal Christmas album, who would you choose? Megadeth or Slayer?
Megadeth.
That would be a pretty cool one, actually. I think so too. I think hearing Dave Mustaine snarl Jingle Bells would have been awesome. So for everyone out there listening, December 9 on Shudder is Christmas Bloody Christmas. I really recommend everyone check this movie out. We're really right now going through a really impressive time of like Christmas horror titles. We've got so many films coming out in regards to Christmas time and using characters like the Grinch and Santa Claus and put them in a horror context. And I think Christmas Bloody Christmas is the best one I've seen so far this year. And I really enjoyed your film, Joe. I really am a big fan of all your movies. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today, and hopefully we can talk again in the future.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content. Also, if you would like to request a review and support my work, please join my Patreon via the link in the description below.